Hi everybody and welcome to Learn Livestreaming Live. My name's John Lacey. Today on the show we're going to be looking at DaVinci Resolve, and if you don't know, DaVinci Resolve is a video editing piece of software that is kind of amazing, and it's kind of blown my mind, and I want to talk this week about why I'm loving it, why I think it's really, really epic and awesome. So we're going to be doing that today. I should probably start out by saying that, and I'm going to click a button over here. All right, so if I go to the screen share, and if we go to Blackmagic Design's website on DaVinci Resolve 20, this is the place that you can learn more about this and also download it. So it's professional editing, color, effects, and audio post, and you can download the free version, or you can get the paid version, which is DaVinci Resolve Studio. That is $495 Australian by the looks of things, but there are other ways of getting that, and I'll talk to you about that in a second. The thing about this is it is legitimately real video editing software for making movies. And that's kind of amazing, and I don't want to freak you out too much because I imagine most people watching this don't really want to go that far, and I get it, that you don't need to be too overwhelmed by that. But it is kind of amazing, and there's so much that you can do for free. So we'll come back to that in a second. We are going out live to all the various places. So let me check in with the chats. Hello to Seed, the facilitator, who is having a birthday very, very soon. He'll still be younger than me, which is mildly annoying, but it is what it is. Hello to Frozen Fusion. Great to have your company today. And also, Business Growth Ready says, good morning all. I'm having a little bit of issues with the social stream ninja chat. I don't know if you can see that. Like Saeed and Business Growth Ready both show up great, and I've actually added a little bit of extra space to compensate. But if I go to Frozen Fusion, we're sort of missing the end of that N, which is by the by, and I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but I've been doing all kinds of things this week to try to overcome that. But anyway, that's not the topic for today, so let's not dwell on it too much. Let's go back to our screen share. This is, again, DaVinci Resolve 20, which really only came out a little while ago. And again, they describe it as Hollywood's #1 post solution. So we can edit, we can color, we can do stuff with audio, including spatial audio, which again, probably doesn't make a lot of sense for the average content creator. But again, if you are making something for the movies, that would be amazing. And Fusion, which is that great sort of animation tool. I would describe it as, I'm sure you can do a lot more with it than that. So we've got some of the new features in here in DaVinci Resolve 20. I'll talk about some of those today because again, they're so cool, some of them. There are some AI features, and again, I have a complicated relationship with AI, so if you're new here, you'll probably hear about that as well as we progress forward. There's also options to collaborate with other people as well, all kinds of stuff. Let's actually just go over there, and hello to the LinkedIn user. I can't actually see who you are from my view, but it's great to have your company today. But let's actually head over to DaVinci Resolve. Actually, before I do that, one other thing. If we go back up to this magical option up here, we've got the ability to buy the paid version, or we've got the ability to download the free version. And again, I'm curious if the people watching right now, if you're using DaVinci Resolve in any capacity, which version are you using? Because I used to use this up until, I don't know, about a month ago. And to be honest, it's not missing features. I just really wanted to support Blackmagic Design. And I wanted to try out the speed editor, which is really, really cool. And we'll get to that in a second. But if you do want to download it, you can click on the free download button. You've got the options for Mac OS X, Linux, Windows, and Windows. And you've also got the paid version. So the thing that I did encounter was that I couldn't really have both of these running at the same time without a lot of hassle. And I just went to the DaVinci Resolve Studio 20, although I do have the free version on a few other computers that I own. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I guess the other thing I do need to acknowledge is probably twofold. One, although you don't need to know all the parts of this to get started and do stuff, there is a lot it can do. So again, we talk about learning curves all the time on this show and my other show. So don't be too scared of this. You can get started really easily, but it is powerful. And secondly, it is a little resource heavy. So if you've got a 10-year-old computer, I probably wouldn't start here. So if you've got a more recent computer, if you've got something with the graphics, a decent graphics card built in, that will be amazing. But we can download this. And I guess the other thing too is you've got to have a decent internet connection, because I think every time I download or upgrade this, it's somewhere in the region of 3 to 4 gigabytes. So just keep those in mind. I'm just going to go back to the chat for a second because there's a whole bunch of stuff happening. Business Growth Ready writes, was thinking about buying the keyboard jog wheel for DaVinci as you get a license for the software, or do I get a Stream Deck Plus? That's a really good, interesting question, actually, because as much as I love my speed editor, which I think I might have a screenshot of that, I'm sure I do. I don't know that I've set it up particularly well today, but essentially with the speed editor, you get the scroll wheel, you get a whole bunch of buttons to do different things, but they only work in DaVinci Resolve. Like, they don't work in any other program as far as I can tell. So that is one thing that I guess other pieces of hardware may have going for them. Saeed writes that I am using the free version for 3 years. I think I got everything I need, but we'll get the studio version someday when I do more editing. And yeah, I guess that's the thing. Like, a lot of software will be quite the functionality will be reduced in a way that it really isn't for DaVinci Resolve. There might be a handful of effects and filters and things, and I will sort of mention some of them as we go through in the next hour. And Saeed writes, I think there is a free profile for DaVinci Resolve for the Stream Deck. Better than nothing. I think that I need to check that out, actually, if that is a thing. In fact, this is a bit of a side quest, but I'm really intrigued now, Saeed. So let's see if we can do this really quickly. I'm going to go to the Elgato store. I'm hoping that this will do its thing. DaVinci Resolve. I'll share my screen so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so there's a DaVinci Resolve Colorist Sample Pack, which is interesting. DaVinci Resolve Icons, DaVinci Resolve Icon Sampler, DaVinci Resolved Icons. We've got profiles as well. Okay, so there's a lot in there. You would probably need to go in and do a bit of investigation as to see what would be most appropriate for you. But there is stuff available. So again, you really just gotta figure out what's going to be most appropriate for you, because there's all kinds of ways of doing this. And in a perfect world, like a part of me would love to just own all of the panels for the color. And maybe we should actually talk about that too. If we go back to Blackmagic Design, actually I could have probably done it from that screen. Let me go back. Panels. So we've actually got a whole bunch of hardware that you can add on here. And again, this is all optional. This depends on who you are and what you're doing and whether it's worthwhile. But you've got these beautiful color panels. You've got the DaVinci Resolve Micro Color Panel. You've got the Mini Panel. You've got the DaVinci Resolve Advanced Panel. So there's so many button pressing options we've got here. You can adjust all those settings. It looks like these are mostly for the color ones. The Speed Editor, which is the one I've kind of got, maybe it's under Keyboard. Edit keyboards. Okay. Yes, here we go. So there we go. There's DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor, DaVinci Resolve Replay Editor, and DaVinci Resolve Editor Keyboard. So these are really cool and really nerdy and probably not super appropriate for someone who's just getting started, but they are fun. And I bought this one because I think it's just so cool. And the great thing about this is that it includes the license to the full version Studio, DaVinci Resolve Studio, which is the paid version. So we have lots of options here. Don't get too overwhelmed though. I'm conscious of the fact that we have some newbies in the audience as well as our seasoned professionals. So there are lots of cool stuff that you can play with. And if you're a gear enthusiast, like I think a lot of us are, then you'll have a lot of fun here. But let's actually head into DaVinci Resolve. So many things open already. All right, so this is DaVinci Resolve Studio 20. I might even just minimize that. And we've got the projects here. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff here. What I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to go into talk about masking and Magic Mask, because this is kind of amazing. And again, what I can do, and you won't actually hear the audio in this, and I just want to read this comment out. So Amal writes, DaVinci Resolve is great. I do post-production work with podcast videos using that software. Yeah, it's really cool. So this is a video I made a long time ago, and I don't normally film outside, although it is a bit of a goal of mine for this year to do a little bit more outside, and I've got a bit of a mobile rig I'm trying out. But what I kind of, in this case, what I want to sort of drag your attention to, and again, I can do this with the scroll wheel on my device here, and I'm going to keep scrolling. And I guess what I want to call out here is that I've got two versions of the same video. One of them is just everything. So one of them is this one here. And if I disable this for a second, you'll see one of them is basically just me as a cutout. And the great thing about working in this way with the mask is that we can actually have layers. And I can actually have this text in between me and the background. And again, because I'm actually reusing the entire video again, I don't have to be particularly clever about how I do this. But what I am going to do, I'm actually going to just delete this track here. Oop, maybe not like that. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go delete selected. Yep, cool. I'm going to go back to the very beginning of my video. It's probably a better way of doing that, but I'm still learning. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go up to video track 4 and I'm going to hopefully paste that in. I don't think that worked exactly the way I was expecting it to. In fact, I think I've got another copy on there. Just actually, I didn't copy that at all. All right, let me just copy that again. And I might even just do this from the menu. Go Control C. I'm pretty sure that's what I did, but let's and I should say too, I'm not a DaVinci Resolve expert, so I just want to be really clear about that. What is going on? Okay, so it's actually done that to the end of that track for some reason. I'm gonna just resize this for a second, just so I can see a little bit more of what's going on here. Joyful. Okay, so I'm gonna continue to play with this in a second, but it is really annoying. I don't really know exactly what's happening there. I'm gonna actually undo this a little bit, and we'll just go back to where we were. What I kind of want to do is I want to see more of these video tracks. There we go. Okay, so I do have this version here. I have this version here, and I guess ideally what I wanted to do was just start from scratch. So what I might do, I might even just see if I can delete this version, delete selected only. I have a feeling if I hit the Alt key, that'll duplicate it. Okay, awesome. So what I want to do, and again, down the bottom of this screen, we've got these different sections, and I do want to talk about these in a second. But essentially, we've got the media page, we've got the cut page, we've got the edit page, we've got the fusion page, which if you've seen some of my other shows, you've seen it. I've played with it quite a lot. We've got the color page, we've got the Fairlight, which is for the audio and music, and we've got the deliver, which is essentially how you export all of that stuff. So what I wanted to do now is if I just want to grab, make sure I've selected that one. I'm going to actually go over to my color page, which might seem a little counterintuitive. But what I want to do is I want to actually grab this magic mask. So this is the AI magic mask. This is also known as Magic Mask version 2 in some places. If I click on this, you'll see I've got a number of different options down here. I really just want to make sure that one's good to go. I want to make sure I'm on my second clip. And what I want to do is I just really want to put a few dots on me as a person. And wouldn't you know it, I think DaVinci Resolve is freezing up a little bit. There we go. Probably got a few too many things open. That's okay. So I just want to select a few different points here. And again, we don't need to be too exact about this, but essentially, once I've got that, I'm going to use this magical thing here that says track forward and reverse. And the thing I will say about this is a lot of this is done by my personal computer's processing power. So again, if you've got a 10, 15-year-old computer, I probably wouldn't even try this. So just keep that in mind. All right, while this is doing its thing, I'm actually going to break out of here and just go to the chat because there is a few things happening. Saeed writes, I'm still wondering how this can be a free tool. No account needed. No always on. Yeah, so it is such a refreshing thing in a world where all software, it seems to be monthly subscriptions that you can purchase this outright. And at some point in the future, they may change that. It may be something you need to upgrade from time to time, but it is just amazing. And I think what they're doing is, because they really want to court the professionals that are going into the industry, is by making this free, students can learn it. And when students learn it and know it, they will use it and they will bring it into whatever production circle they end up working in. So I think that's really cool. And I think Adobe used to do a version of this, and I think they've still got student plans, but I don't think that's too crash hot. So Ernesto says, can you record voiceovers? You can. There's something actually in the Fairlight tab. I'm not entirely sure I can remember it just right now, but might even try and look that up and let you know a little bit later on. And Ernesto also writes, this is on a PC, correct? Yes, so this is a PC, but it is also available for Mac and Linux. You probably do need to check the versions because not all older versions of operating systems are supported, but keep that in mind. Business Growth Ready says, think you need to move the playhead to where you want to paste. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you so much. Yes, I mean, it's certainly because they make a lot of hardware, and that's the thing. Some of their cameras actually, I'm told, and I'm not particularly knowledgeable on this front, but I'm told they have their own camera format, so that if you buy certain cameras, you need to use DaVinci Resolve to get that that out of the camera. But they do also have all kinds of panels. They've got the editors and the color panels and all of the things. And Said writes, yeah, they have a lot of pro hardware. All right, awesome. So let's go back to DaVinci Resolve, and all I've done is I've told it to sort of mask out this little thing here. And if you want to see what it's done, there's this toggle mask overlay button just here. So if I click on this, you will see that it's sort of put a red overlay on top of what I've masked here. And what we can do is we can just play through this and we'll see what it's done. In this case, it doesn't really need to be too exact because, you know, the only thing it needs to really do is just be a reasonable cutout of where I am there. But the other thing I do want to point out is if I right click over here and I go to add node and I go to, actually I might need to do that. Add alpha output actually is what I'm looking for. And if I do this and I drag this over here, we should theoretically see just what I masked out. But in this case, I think I probably need to go back to the edit page and I will just toggle the visibility of this for a second. So here you'll see that if I can play through this. And again, keep in mind that this footage was recorded on my Android phone, which is not a great camera. It was quite some distance away. In this case, I really wanted to demonstrate how far away I could be from my camera to capture the audio with the Rode Wireless Micro. So I've got that there. And when you combine those two things and then you have that text in between them, you can sort of give the illusion of a bit of depth. And there are 3D and 2D things that you can do with this that are a little bit outside of the scope of what I currently understand, but you can definitely look up some really cool YouTube videos on all of that. So I really just wanted to give you a sense of how easy that mask is. It is possible, by the way, it is possible to do some masking on the Fusion page. It does apparently use the older version of Magic Mask, which I think isn't quite as good, but you can do that there if you need to. And the thing, I just find this kind of mind-boggling because, and I wrote about this on LinkedIn during the week, and I think even on YouTube, in a community post. But I don't love generative AI. I don't want AI putting words into my mouth. I don't want it misrepresenting me or cloning me or whatever. But I do love applications like this, where it would be really painful to come in here and, you know, and I could sort of come in here frame by frame and say, I want to keep this section and not that section. The other thing too, I probably should mention, is if it does grab a little bit too much, which it hasn't done here, there is just a subtract option beside it. But again, this magic mask is something you will pay for as part of the paid version of DaVinci Resolve Studio. Or it could come free if you buy a bit of hardware, so just keep those in mind. But that's really cool. I'm just gonna make a new project, and I will say magic mask again. I don't want to dwell on this too much because, to be really honest with you, I'm not really that clever. I don't know how to do all of the things, but I just want to show you a couple of the applications I've already found that they're quite useful. And if my computer will hold up for me, I'm just going to go and grab a clip from one of my live streams. I don't even think it'll matter too much for this one. In fact, what I'll do, I'll go over to the media page. Just waiting for this to refresh. It's one of those things that everything works flawlessly if you're not streaming, but the minute you're streaming, everything just slows down. What I'm going to do, I'm going to grab just last week's stream. I'm going to throw it into DaVinci Resolve. And when it's over there, I will go back to the screen share and show you what that looks like. Yes, and Business Growth Radio writes, the old days of rotoscoping, tracing over live action footage, frame by hand. Yeah. And I know, like, I know people that love just doing that, and more power to them. But I wouldn't, like, if that was my only option, I wouldn't even be playing with this. It would just be too time consuming. And admittedly, this is a weird trend that keeps coming up for me personally. Around AI, is that some people want to put in a lot of effort and learn things and do them well, and other people just want to click on a template. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with either of those approaches, but I think it's important for you to know which one you want to work with and go from there. I don't know. I have a weird feeling that again, DaVinci Resolve is so good for me 99% of the time, but right now it seems to be freezing up. So what I'm going to do, just going to see if I can reset that. Hopefully you won't lose me entirely. All right. I'm not really sure why it's struggling because I have plenty of resources on this computer, but anyway, that's fine. Let's just do that again. And Business Growth Ready writes, was always a big time suck, and if you ever forgot to join the line, you'd lose that frame, and you just need to start again. Yeah. And I mean, the other thing too is back when, you know, people were recording to digital film, they were literally splicing cells with, you know, which in my mind just sounds horrific, but I'm sure there were people that learnt that and had that as a skill set. I don't know, it's probably a mistake, but I'm actually trying to import the same video again. So we'll see in a couple of minutes if that's actually going to do it for me today. If not, I might need to just go with something. I probably should have just picked something smaller because these are 1 hour shows. But we'll give DaVinci Resolve a minute and we'll see if we can do that. If not, we can just move on to something else. But it is, I can't overstate how unusual this is. And I suspect it's only because I'm live streaming, which is so annoying. Look, I'm going to kill DaVinci Resolve again, and I'm going to find just a smaller video file to work with. Cause I don't know what's happening there, and it may even be the format that my live stream is in. So I'll just pick something else. Go back to that. And now Windows doesn't want to let me go to DaVinci Resolve. It wants to show me some search results for that, which is also very odd. But anyway, it is what it is. Okay. So what I might do instead, I'm just going to go, I'm going to go to this Magic Mask again. I'm going to find some footage. that we can just play with. I might even just do this in the edit page. So if I go to DaVinci Resolve, I'm not going to open any existing projects, but I'm going to sort of grab something else in that realm. In fact, let's just go to, what will we go to? One of these. All right, not that one. I know I'm not sharing Said. I'm trying to find something that I can share. Look, what I'm going to do instead, let's actually just I will share so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go close current project. I'm just going to grab something here. Let's go to this one. In fact, actually what I'll do, I'm going to close the current project, and I want to actually, I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to say copy. And I'm going to go paste. And that'll give me a second version of this project so I don't mess up the original. So now we can do whatever the hell we want with this. And this, admittedly, this is something I've clearly played with before, and I've made all kinds of weird and wonderful choices. Yeah, I don't, but I guess what I'm seeing here is that I'm actually on the cut page, and this is the place at which we would grab our footage. I'm going to cheat a little bit because this is a copy. I'm just going to go in and delete everything. So we're starting from scratch. The great thing about this is if I select, and normally what I would probably have done in the past is I would just grab my timeline. I would chuck it on here. I would find the section that I wanted to share. And I'm just going to, I realize you guys can't hear the audio here, but I would sort of, I'd probably go Control B to blade that. I'd grab both of those and I would go ripple cut or ripple delete. And then I'd find out where I wanted it to end, and I would sort of do the same, which is very inefficient, and I'll show you a better way in a second. But essentially, if this is what you want to do, if you just want to cut bits out of a recording, this is a really good, this is one way of doing it. So essentially, we'd have our clip, we can do whatever we want with that clip here. But the thing that is probably even better is if I go over to the cut page, we can bring in our media. I've got a whole bunch of stuff, most of which is probably not particularly relevant. I'm going to click on this one. On the DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor, I'm going to click the source button. And I'm going to click the source button again. In fact, the thing about this, and again, I probably, if I go to my timeline, I'm actually going to get rid of these clips because they're not going to be particularly relevant for what I'm going to do right now. But if you can actually essentially bring in a whole bunch of clips and then just edit this in one go, and you can sort of have things on top of other things with the overlay. But again, for our purposes, I'm going to hit the source button. Okay, I don't know what's... I'm going to delete this timeline. I don't know what's going on with it, but I'm going to remove it. Yep. Okay. Now I'm going to go source. Oh my goodness. I don't know why things work when you're not live and they never work when you are live. It's just, it's deeply character building. So I've got my master here. Look, I might even, I'm just going to double click on that. That'll do. All right, cool. So again, what I can do here is I can actually use my scroll wheel. And this, you can see the waveform that's just above my head here. I have two options. Well, actually I have three options. But the two that I want to talk to you about is jog, which essentially is what you're seeing right now, which is kind of a zoomed in version of that audio, which can be really great if you're looking for something specific and you're looking for the waveform. But we also have this, this scroll option. And when I hit that scroll option, it'll actually show you the entire waveform. So again, if you had a sense of where something was happening, you could go with either of those. So maybe, there we go. Congratulations on 750, by the way, John. It's just from the previous live. So if I go back to the jog, and again, once you do this, you do need to use a scroll wheel to sort of get in there and check out where it is. But what I can do, there are a couple of buttons on here. One is in and one is out. So if I go in, it'll start my clip there. It should. In fact, I probably need to press timeline. No. This is really annoying because I swear this has worked in even in previous lives that I've done. So again, I don't know why it's not playing particularly nicely for me today. But let's just imagine this is our endpoint, I should say. We go to the end of that clip and we go, okay, that's the out point. And again, I should theoretically be able to append this to my timeline. I don't know if it's going to play nicely today, but let's find out. Okay, cool. So we've got our sources up here. And if I go, again, I've got to switch to my timeline. But now if I go to my timeline, you'll see that the bottom section is moving. And I can play that and see what I want it to show. So, okay, that's really useful information. Thank you. I probably have already done this, but Business Growth Ready writes, just opened DaVinci Resolve and it's prompted me to update my NVIDIA drivers. Notice that NVIDIA did an update on the 17th of June, which was only a few days ago. So you may need to do that as well. I don't know if it's the reason I'm having so many problems here today, but just it's something to keep in mind. But essentially, what I'm kind of curious about now is you can grab all these clips, you can put them together. There are ways of treating them with audio, without audio, as sort of overlays and whatnot. But once I've sort of got the gist of what I want, I can head over to my edit page, and this is where we would do maybe a little bit more granular editing. We can incorporate some effects and different things. I am kind of curious, like this is probably not a great use of anyone's time, but I'm going to do it really quickly. I'm really curious if I were to go to the color page and do my magic mask and just mask myself out, and maybe not even the microphone. I'm curious if I can do this with just 2 points. I may not be able to, but I'll give it a go. Okay, I've got 3 there. Who cares? That's fine. All right. So again, I want to go track forward and back. You can sort of do this in one direction or the other, but I just find it's easier to do it in both. Although in this case, I think I'm probably almost at the beginning of the timeline anyway. So you'll see that's there. Again, if I wanted to, and if I turn this on, I can actually, this is the point at which I could actually adjust the color of things. So if I did want to, make myself brighter or darker or change colors, I could do that here. But again, if I add my my alpha output and connect the alpha output of the clip to the alpha output over here, all right, and go back to my edit page, you'll see that it's sort of masked myself out there. And again, if we zoomed in a little bit, you'd probably find that there are a few bits here and there that I might want to go in and edit a little bit more, but that's a way that you can edit yourself out. And again, I feel like it's because it's grabbed my headphones as well, it's probably a little bit weird. So I could probably even just add those in. And there are a whole bunch of different options to increase the size of that and whatnot, but let's just try that. All right, so if I go back to my edit page, again, you can see some white around me. I could go in and fix that as well. But the great thing now is I've kind of got this separate version of myself that I could play with. But let's not dwell on that too much because I do have a few things to show you, and because I've had my issues here, it's been a little bit problematic. So what I'm going to do, I'm not entirely sure how to, oh, there we go. Okay, so if I delete that, there are a whole bunch of different features in here. The one that I think is kind of really awesome, because I think captions and subtitles are quite useful, is that we can actually come in and we can generate these. And again, this is a studio feature, so you do need the paid version for this. But if I go up to the clip menu and if I go to AI tools, we have a couple of things in here that aren't actually what I'm looking for. So let me just try that again. I'm just going to select everything. AI tools, toggle. All right, maybe if I deselect everything and just treat it as a project rather than a clip. Okay, there we go. So actually, that's what I'm doing wrong. I need to go to timeline, and then I need to go to AI tools, and we can do create subtitles from audio. So this is really, really cool. We can specify the language, it's set to auto. I'm just going to tell it English. There are also extended language support, which is something you'll need to actually go and download to add to this. But there are lots of different languages here. And I would be curious, like if, I don't know, Said, for example, if he ever gets the paid version, I'd be really curious to see how that works in different languages, because I'm very basic. I speak English and literally nothing else. We do have some presets here. So for teletext and Netflix, I don't really worry about those too much. We can say how many characters we want per line. So again, there are some accessibility standards around this, so you might want to check those out. But if you were just looking to feature maybe one word on the screen at a time, you could change that. I do personally like using the double, so 2 lines. And from there, I can click Create. It's going to do its thing. And this is going to take no time at all because it's a very short clip. But the thing I kind of want to call out is that this AI generation, it's not happening in the cloud. It's actually happening on your local computer. And I know that might not be a big deal for many people, but the thing I love about that is you're not, like if you're doing internal videos for your company and you have trade secrets in your content, you're not feeding this back to some large language model for other people to potentially learn about. And I know that probably sounds a bit tinfoil hat to some of you, but I love the idea that that's happening here and it doesn't go anywhere else. So once we've got that, we actually have this channel. We actually have a subtitle track, and there's a few things that we can do over here if we want to go in and check this out. Again, because this is such a small clip, it's not even an entire sentence. It's 1.5 sentences, so it starts in a weird place, which you wouldn't do in real life, but again, for our purposes, I think it's fine. We can go in and we can change this. So maybe if I wanted to put a capital A for alpha channel, so we can describe that there. And that's literally just to get those on there. If we go to the track options over here, we can change things like the font and the color and the size. If we go back to the captions tab for a second, there is actually an option to customize the caption. And this is where you want to do something unique for this particular caption. So once you've done this, go and style them how you will over here. And you've got drop shadows and backgrounds and all kinds of stuff that you can play with. But then if you want to emphasize a particular word, you can click on Customize Caption. You can actually select a word, and whatever changes you make here will only apply to that particular word. So if I select alpha and then I change the color to red, you'll see that it'll only affect the word alpha. I can turn that off and go back to my defaults. But I guess the other thing too is if we go to our effects, we do actually have, I think, actually they're under titles, aren't they? We do have some subtitle options here. So again, if you wanted to use one of DaVinci Resolve's defaults, there are a whole bunch of them down here. So, you know, if I wanted something like that, I can drag and drop that onto the subtitle channel, and now it'll do its thing. I don't love that one particularly, but it's just an example. But the other thing is too, they have these animated options. So if I drag and drop this onto my subtitle track, and again, this works really well when you've generated the captions within DaVinci Resolve, because it knows which word you're saying as you're saying it. So a lot of the animated ones will actually highlight the word you're on, which I don't know if I love, but it's an option you might want to think about. So if I click play now, you'll see that these actually animate onto the screen. I'm not sure about that. Let's try another one. Rotate's probably even worse, but let's give it a go. They could be fun. They could be really distracting. I'm not really sure. Let's actually go with this statement one. I think that might be more of what I'm thinking about. So this is an example where it will actually highlight the words. So you can do that as well. And I guess there are a few things, and captions, I've done an entire show on sort of captions and transcriptions. It's a big topic potentially. But one thing you can do is from the edit page, you can actually right click and you can go export subtitles. You do have a few different options here. Subtitle files, SRT, subtitle files without formatting. So It's often a really good idea to choose this without formatting option, because if you do bold or italicize certain words, you will literally see some I think it's HTML code from memory, appear inside of the caption, which is not usually what you want. If you are looking for something for YouTube, you can just come in here, select that option is in there. But the other thing too is if we have this different options on our deliver page. So again, this is the place at which we'll actually export our project. We've got a whole bunch of templates up the top here. Depending on what you want to do, you can create your own. You can do a custom export. I'd probably, in this case, unless I'm actually doing some transparency video, I would stick to MP4, but we've got QuickTime in there as well. I tend to go to H.264, but again, whatever works. But especially in regards to our subtitle options, we've got options to export the video without a subtitle. If we turn this on, we have a few different options. So we can do this as a separate file. And again, that's the point at which you'd probably go SRT without formatting. And you can specify the subtitle track, and you can have more than one, which is a whole other discussion. We can do that. We can actually have this as embedded captions. So these are actually embedded into the file itself, and whether they're displayed or not really depends on the player that you open the video file in. So I don't know that I have a lot of use for that particular option, but the third one is the classic burnt into video. So that's often the one you want for social media. So when you do export it, you will see, hopefully you'll see that, burnt into video. And I'm just going to really quickly find somewhere to dump this video just to show you how this works. I'm going to go into my DaVinci Resolve folder, and we'll just call this demo. All right, so once we've got that, we can add it to the render queue. And I can go render all. And then if I right click on this, it'll say open file location, which could be quite useful in this case. And I can double click on this. And we can see, because we chose this with the captions burnt in, it's going to do that. Interestingly, and I'm not really sure exactly how I did this, but I appear to have put my little cutout version of myself on top of everything else, which is very weird, but which you wouldn't want to do in real life, but that is something to keep in mind. So I don't know that I'm just trying to think if I've covered all the things I wanted to share with you, but again, I know some of this is probably quite scary to beginners, but what I want to say to beginners is you can just stay on the edit page. First of all, use edit and render, the deliver tab, and that's enough to get started. So, you know, if you come in here, you go to these two tabs, so the edit and the deliver, you can do everything you want to do in here. We've got a whole bunch of different video transitions. We've got effects and different things that you can play with as well. I don't know that I'd particularly want this one, but if I wanted to put maybe my footage under binoculars, or a sequence of it, I could do that as well. I can just go Control Z to undo that. We've got all kinds of things that you can play with here. I guess the other thing that might be worth describing too is if I go to my file options and I go to my project settings, I can specify, you know, if I want this in vertical resolution. So if I do that and I go save, what's interesting about this is that it's kind of tried to just squish this into place. So there's a really good chance that's not really what I wanted. And I'd have to sort of go in here and edit how this fits a little bit. I'm going to just close my effects for the moment, if I can, if it'll let me. Or even just resize that might help a little bit. That one is probably what I'm looking for. Anyway, in case I haven't said it already, I'm not a DaVinci Resolve expert, but I am enjoying learning my way through this process. I think it's really, really cool. Less cool when you're trying to show things on screen that don't particularly work, but it is what it is. And I can zoom in and out of this canvas actually too. So if I wanted to, I could just make sure I've got this on. And hopefully I can resize this. Yep. So I could take that horizontal project and make it vertical. I can sort of adjust where these captions are. I could add different things at the top and the bottom of this. I could have backgrounds, color, whatever I need to do to make this particular clip work. And in this case, like, it's not a particularly exciting example, but it is what it is. If I go in here, we've got a whole bunch of different options there as well. And there are different layout options as well. So you can have the dual viewer monitor, the dual option, the viewer mode there, even the single, and you know, we can change this up as we want. There are also options to spread this across multiple screens, which again would probably make sense if I wasn't streaming right now. So we could go in and we could change those things. But we've got all these amazing transitions, some of which are quite fun. Got a little love heart there, star, all kinds of things. Even a spiral wave, which is interesting. We've got audio transitions. I guess getting back to the thing that I think Ernesto asked about, and I might even need to just do some research in real time because I don't exactly remember how this works, but record into Fairlight. Okay, so what we can do, so this is Fairlight, this is the audio tab, and again, there are some very cool things you can do in here. I guess, first of all, we've got these options to make the waveform larger or zoom in sort of in either direction. So that in itself is really cool. One of my favorite things is just to right click on this and go to clip operations and normalize audio levels. They've got a preset for YouTube, which is -14 LUFS. So I can do that and I can click normalize. You can see what that's done to my waveform there. So I've probably been recording much too quietly. But in terms of actually recording in here, I might even see if I can add an audio track, and I will just I'll go stereo because it will be stereo. So audio 2. Arm to record. Maybe I need to specify where I'm recording. So, so I've got to click the input button on the track header. It's telling, okay, so arm for record. All right, I don't know that I'm going to be able to figure that one out right this moment, but essentially there are different ways. And I think in 20, there's even a version of, there's a way of doing this actually in here, but I'm not sure that I'd be able to suss that out in the next few minutes. It's something you can definitely YouTube look up. It is certainly possible. Record voiceover. There we go. So if I go to the timeline menu, record voiceover, I can say what this is, and I can say, you know, what device I want it to come in. In this case, I'll do just the Rodecaster stereo. So I could go over here. We do also have, so record, and I'm going to say do this on track 2. And then when that's going, I can say record. Go to countdown. If we go to the alpha channel, we can do all the various things that we'd like to do in the alpha channel. So I stop that. Again, you can see that's there. It's looking at the waveform, I can tell it's very low. So again, the first thing I would probably want to do is go over here and just normalize that. So again, that's on the clip operations. And I've got my voiceover audio. So it's a lot easier than I made out. In fact, and that is a version 20 thing. So you certainly can do it. It's a lot easier than I sort of implied, but it's certainly possible. So that's one of the things that you can do. So again, a bit like OBS Studio itself, there is a bit of a learning curve here, and some people have been using this for decades probably and know their way in and out. Other people may need to learn a little bit. I think the University of YouTube is a great place to start with a lot of this stuff because you can see people do things and think about how you can make your own videos that little bit more interesting. I guess the other thing too, and I'm gonna close out this project. I'm not gonna dwell on this too much today because, frankly, I've done entire shows on this, and I don't know that I'd be able to remember too much of what I've done previously anyway. Okay, so this is one thing I probably need to call out as well. So if you were on version 19 and you've moved to version 20, it will need to actually update this project. And in this case, I don't think this is a problem, so I'm just going to go upgrade. But again, if you wanted to have a backup, you can go, you can right click on it, you can go copy, you can go paste, and then you'll have a separate version of it. But I'm just going to say upgrade because I think that'll be fine here. So in terms of the magical fusion tab, which is kind of the thing that really got me interested in this software in the first place, is that I can have this node tree, and it's like I'm going to level with you. This is kind of mind-boggling stuff. But essentially what I was able to do was just animate some text on the screen. There are a few different versions of this because I recreated this on a number of live streams. But the great thing about this is because it's got the transparency built into it, if I go and export this out as a QuickTime movie, I can actually bring this into OBS and other software. So if I click on this button, for example, like and subscribe pops up on my screen. It has a transparent background, so I can put it on top of anything. I could stop the screen share and I could do it again. Like and subscribe. This is the thing that really got me excited about DaVinci Resolve in the first place. So I love this. A lot of video editing software can't really deal with transparency. You can sort of hack your way around that by doing a bit of a green screen or blue screen action and do a workarounds. But I just loved that I was able to create something. And I know that one is perhaps not the most exciting one in the world, but even things like, and I don't know that I've got it handy at the moment, so I might even just see if I can bring this up really quickly. But if I go to my other stream deck, I have some buttons for different things. So, you know, this one, for example, if I click on this, this again is a full screen video, but most of it is transparent. And that way we can introduce layers. And again, I can bring that into OBS, and that's really, really cool. But anyway, I think that's kind of all I wanted to show you this week in terms of DaVinci Resolve. I do love the speed editor. The speed editor actually was pretty much the same, very similar to the price of buying the software outright, and the software comes free with the device. It is so cool. Again, I'm still learning how to use it. But even just the ability to take an hour-long live stream, cut a few segments out of it, in different parts of the live stream, bring them together, generate those captions, export it, maybe rework it for a vertical version and a horizontal version. It's all really, really powerful stuff. And again, this software, you can get it for free. It won't have all those extra awesome features in there, but it has so much, and there is so little that is missing. So check it out if you want to. It's Blackmagic Designs DaVinci Resolve. So have a go, have a play. Let me know how you get on if you do try this software. I'd love to hear from you. But otherwise, have a great week. Have a great weekend when you get there. And I will talk to you again very, very soon.